Hey guys, we're here tonight to talk about cystic fibrosis, and I know that we're in a Marfan syndrome group, and I have Marfan syndrome. A lot of you have Marfan syndrome. However, I'm a big proponent that all chronic illness sufferers, warriors, however you'll say that, should support each other. So whether it's cystic fibrosis, rheumatoid arthritis, Marfan syndrome, Ehlers-Danlos, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. I mean, I personally want to learn about it, so I'm guessing that out of 157 people, one of you probably do too. So, our guest tonight, we went to school together, medical assisting school. She should be getting on here anytime now. And she has cystic fibrosis. When we went to school together, I knew that she did, but I didn't know much about it. This was before she had a double lung transplant and things like that. So with the movie 5 Feet Apart just having come out, even though Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month is in May, I thought that it would be a good time to go ahead and learn about cystic fibrosis. Since she's not on here yet, I'll go ahead and tell you the movie isn't, as you would think, it's not 100% accurate. So she'll be able to tell us more. I haven't seen it. And I'm not an authority on CF, so I can't tell you that she will be able to. She's seen it. I think she's read the book also. So we're just waiting. I just invited her, so hopefully that works. Okay, it shows you're watching. Let me see if I can add you now. Guess request your viewers. Hey. I just briefly told them that we went to medical assisting school together, and that's pretty much all I told them. I don't know too awful much about cystic fibrosis.
Yes, you do.
So that's why you're here.
Hey, babe, can you shut the blinds?
Yeah.
The sun is right in my face, so he's going to shut the blinds.
Okay. So I don't know. Our phone's too far away. I don't know if anybody's on here or not. But
I'm going to
I wrote some things
really quick. I keep wanting to go this way because where my phone's sideways and I'm not used to doing live videos sideways. So
I'm not either.
You. So I don't look at myself and it's like this way.
I think I'm doing it too. So.
Let me share. I can't even share it to my own group. I don't know what's up with my...
I think there's a share thing down here on the bottom.
Yeah, there is, but my phone is. I don't.
Might not work until it's over.
I don't know. Oh. Okay. I just shared it on my Facebook page, so.
Okay, cool. So I wrote down some questions, but let's start with just you giving us your story, your backstory, and some facts.
That's a long one. Hold
I
on.
know.
That's a big one. Every CF patient is different, just like anybody with any illness that has the same illness. They're all different. And CF patients are especially different because we all have, some of us have the same mutations, but there's so many mutations out there that, you know, I just kind of explain to people that CF patients are more, they're like snowflakes. There's not one, two that are the same, and there's not. They may have the same genetic mutations, but their care is going to be different. So it's just, that's just how it is. A lot, I mean, you're diagnosed at birth, you're born with it. But I was diagnosed when I was 5. So, I mean, I was really, really sick, and they didn't do genetic testing when I was born. I don't know, I just think it mainly because it was the year I was born and the state I was born in. So,
Yeah.
because I have friends that are a year younger than me, went to the same doctors, same hospitals, and they were diagnosed at birth or 6 weeks after. So I'm just like, I just chalk it to the year I was born and what state that we live in.
Yeah.
But I mean, the part that CF affects with me is all of my respiratory tract and respiratory, anything related respiratory wise, like your sinuses, your bronchicles, of course your lungs, all of that. So that's just what CF directly affects with me. And there's other patients that, you know, they have to take enzymes to break down their food that they eat so their body can absorb the nutrients. Of course, I don't have that problem. Which I'm glad. But I used to be super, 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 super skinny. Like 89 pounds skinny. Unhealthy skinny. But that was because, you know, my lungs were working overtime. and they were burning tons of calories, and I couldn't eat enough in a day to maintain a healthy weight.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. But, I drop my pen, sorry. I was in and out of the hospital, have been, was. I'm still here. Have been my entire life. Of course, my CF got sued. It was end-stage CF. So it was either you have a lung transplant or you're not going to be here. That was the only option.
Mm-hmm.
And my transplant was an emergency transplant. I wasn't listed. I wasn't fully evaluated. So I was in a coma on the ECMO machine for a month in Pittsburgh. The ECMO machine, which is a heart and lung machine, what that does, it takes blood out of your body, oxygenates it, and pumps it back into your body. So I was on that for 3 weeks, but that was the only way that they could get oxygen to the rest of my vital organs. So I'm very, very blessed in that way, because there are people on transplant lists for years, and I was on it for a couple of weeks. But I was also ranked number 1 on the need for a national transplant. So,
And you got double, right?
right. Yeah.
Is there cases where you can just get one?
Not for CF patients.
Okay.
You can oh, there may be in some cases where a lobe was donated. A part of a lobe was donated, but that's no. They always say you have to have 2, which you would have a very diseased lung, and then you have a healthy lung, and just the bacteria that CF patients carry, it wouldn't work well. So, and I still carry the same bacteria that I had before my transplant. It just doesn't affect my lungs as bad because they're genetically not mine.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they'll never be genetically mine.
So is it just the lung, or was it like further up the bronchial tubes or anything like that?
It was basically, it was the lungs and part of the bronchi. Got the lungs, and then you have, like, I call it the stem, but like that. And that's what they transplant. And then they connect all the little connections to your lower respiratory tract. Because you have an upper and lower, and the lungs and all that good stuff. So there's a lot to connect in there. So I have all my stitches that are on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll always have those. They don't ever go away. They're permanent stitching. They're blue.
They're blue stitches?
Actually, I do have pictures of them. That's what I said when I got married. I didn't need anything blue because I had blue stitching in my lungs. So,
There you go.
yeah, I have that.
So, when we were in school, how bad were you?
I mean, I don't know if you remember or not, but I did. I had a PICC line. I don't know if you remember or not, but I had a PICC line. And I came to school and I ran my antibiotics, like sometime in class and at lunch. So my lung function then was probably around maybe the lower 80s.
So not too horrible.
No, not too horrible, but it just progressively, I mean, we were 19 when we were there, but it just progressively got worse. And then I just progressively lost weight, and I don't know, it was like a year after we were in school. It's like I had my first collapsed lung. Yeah, because we were in school in 2007. Yeah. So, but it just progressively got worse fast. And it happens like that. It's just like you see someone and you're like, oh, and then all of a sudden, it's just that's how it is. And it's shocking, especially because I have a lot of friends that have CF, and I try not to, but I can't help it to have a lot of CF friends. So,
right.
But it's shocking when you have friends that just kind of suddenly pass away, and you're like, well, how? Because to everyone else, it's like, oh, they passed away because of CF. And with someone with CF, you want to know how. Like, yeah, that's CF, but so a lot of people can go into kidney failure really fast or multiple organ failures really fast, and the body just gives out. They just can't do it.
So with yours, did your lungs, like what happened when it was right before your coma?
I started having really, really, really high blood gases. And what it was is just I wasn't intaking enough oxygen to cycle out the carbon dioxide in my body, which is normal for everyone. Everyone has carbon dioxide in the body. And everything that you exhale is carbon dioxide. So I wasn't taking enough oxygen in, letting it filter through, and basically it just wasn't leaving my body. So my blood gases were building up, and that can lead to organ failure and brain damage and everything in that matter. So that's what was really going on with me, and we didn't know that I had a quarter-sized pocket of lung expansion left to breathe. And I was on oxygen 24/7, and I slept with a BiPAP that forced air. If I didn't breathe, it would force it in me. So, but they told me that I had some of the highest blood gases that they've ever seen, and they don't know how I'm not, they're like, we don't know how you're not brain damaged. It's like, well, I don't know, I have that talent.
Wow.
So, they were just really
So
high.
I've heard you say before that it is genetic, but your parents don't necessarily have it.
No, they're carriers.
Okay. Both of
Both
them?
of them. Both parents have to be carriers to have a 25% chance of having a child with CF.
Okay.
And or carrier.
So what are your chances on passing it on?
Like, I will definitely pass it on.
So yours is 100% chance.
Right. Because I have it. And also, I have those, what do they call them? Defective genes.
Mm-hmm.
So I could pass it on. If Daniel is not a carrier, then if we have children, then there's only a chance that our child will only be carriers. They will never have it. Be a carrier for it.
Okay. Because I know, like, if I were to have a kid, each one would have a 25% chance.
Yeah.
Which, or no, 50% chance. 50%. Which to me is not fair. So that's why I just decided not to, because I didn't think that it was fair.
Well,
No
but
way.
if you whoever you decide to have children with and they were tested and they're not a carrier, then
There's still a 50% chance.
right.
Because it only has to come from one of us. Mine does, at least. So I'm special. So your neither parent had any type of issues. Just being a carrier, you don't have any issues.
No, just like carrying the gene that produces offspring of great air. It's kind of like that.
So I've not seen the movie, but I know I've seen pictures like on your Facebook and stuff. Like, what is that vest that you wear? Or I don't guess you wear it anymore, but
I still have it. I have a different version of what they have on in the movie. They have the Aflo vest, which it's now it's portable. You can use it while walking around doing anything, as opposed to putting the vest on and hooking up to tubes and sitting there for 30 minutes while it beats the insides of you.
So it like oscillates.
Yeah, it percussions. It vibrates your lungs and inside to help the mucus break loose. And I always done it while I did my breathing treatments, which I still do breathing treatments. So
Do you have inhalers too?
Yeah, I have the.
So before you had oxygen and that and nebulizers and inhalers, right?
Had a BiPAP. I slept with it at night. It's like a CPAP, but it's a BiPAP.
Is it stronger?
The BiPAP just it'll give you different levels of breathing. As a CPAP will just do bursts of air. As a BiPAP
Mm-hmm.
will do dual. So
Gotcha.
a lot of people hate their BiPAP and CPAP. I loved mine. I just I loved it. It was just because I would put it on and I loved it. I went to sleep with it all the time.
You don't have to sleep with it anymore?
Yeah.
No. So I know you put some about your function being down. Is that pretty common?
Yeah. Um, After a transplant, like you're really lucky to have 50% lung function after your transplant. I mean, that's just, I mean, it's different. I don't know why it's so different for everybody, but you can have, I've seen people that are like, I'm at 20% lung function after my transplant. I'm just like, it,
Wow.
like it blows me away. But you get that excited because when you're at end stage CF, you don't even want to take a shower. You don't want to take a bath. You don't want to do. I know that's gross, but
Yeah, I get it.
but it my I was a grown ass woman, and my mom would be like, Megan, you did not take a bath yesterday. She's like, you need to take a bath. I'm like, I'm not dirty. I didn't do anything. She's like, I don't
I
care.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just, I was like,
But now you have fibro too.
I was like, I'm still in the same pajamas I put on last night.
Now you have fibro too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you didn't have that before, right?
No. I have like a hint of neuropathy, and I do have fibro. And yeah, I think it's fully related to my transplant medications.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the neuropathy, after they go in and bust your chest open, I mean, it's a wonder you don't have more.
But it was only in my legs.
Really?
Mm-hmm. The neuropathy was, yeah, or is.
See, I would think it would go to your hands first.
No.
But it is it open heart, like cardiac open heart, or is it a different?
What?
Like when they bust your chest open, not open heart, I guess, open sternum.
They can do it that way. Yeah, they thought it's from here down. But
Mm-hmm.
I did mine like under each breast. So it was just like that, stop, and that stop. And they did it through the rib cage. So they took the clamps with and pried the rib cage open or between the ribs and pulled it open like this and did that because when the lungs aren't oxygenated, they are flat like a pancake.
Mm-hmm.
So they did all of that in there, and they would move my heart to one side and do all of that. So I was open that because they had both of the clamps or whatever the things are called that open. So they had both of them open. I've had some friends that they'll go just straight across, just all the way across, and I have to wire the sternum back together. Or they'll go down like this and they wire the sternum back together. But the reason I'm glad that my surgeon did it the way he did, because if I were to ever have to have a second transplant, it could go a different way. And it would be a lot easier for them to do.
Because you wouldn't have the scar tissue and stuff like that.
Right. So like if they can do it the clamshell style like they did mine, they will.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they think ahead, if this patient has to have another transplant, it'll be easier. So they won't have to crack the sternum open again and things like that.
So, is there a certain amount of transplants you can have? Like, have you known people that have had like 2 and 3?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know a girl, I'm friends with her on Facebook. She's currently waiting for her third. Which is great because they approved it. So she's just waiting. Anyway,
But does the function and stuff like that drop each time?
yeah, it's because you go into chronic rejection. So your body is just trying to kick out that foreign object. And because it's not your DNA, it's not your body's genetically, your body wants to kick it out of there.
So, I know you mentioned you had issues with any respiratory. So, did you have like allergy issues also, like worse?
I feel like my allergies are worse. But I'm allergic to Georgia. I think that's it.
Coming from here, I would think it would be better there.
Oh no. Pine pollen. I hate pine. I'm allergic to pine pollen. And that's all Georgia is. It's big old pine pollen capital.
So, do you have like, I know because you've been around horses and you have dogs and all of that, those don't bother it at all?
No. With the horses, though, it's not the horses per se. Like, it's the barn atmosphere, the hay. Horses have poop. You have stalls that have poop. So, I am blessed enough that that's a perk of having a transplant. You don't have to clean your horse's stall anymore. So they would clean it for me. But I wore my mask when I was in the barn. But a lot of times I would tack my horse up outside of the barn. And when we were ride, it would just depend on what season it was that I would wear my mask, like in the woods. So definitely spring and fall. That's when I would wear my mask in the woods when I rode.
So right now you're immunosuppressed. Were you before transplant also?
No, my immune system was amazing before my transplant. It was amazing. Like, I never got regular sick. I was always CF. Like,
So you didn't have like the flu and stuff like that?
no, I never ever got, I mean, I would get a cold here and there, but I never,
Mm-hmm.
and I've gotten the flu shot every year since I was probably a year old. And I still get them, but I was very lucky and very fortunate that I always call it regular people colds. And
Yeah, because I don't remember you ever wearing masks or anything like that.
no, I hated them. I never wore them until after my transplant.
So now do you only do it like when you go to the doctor, or is it certain times?
I wear, especially when I go to the doctor, because they have all the patients at, like, it's CF clinic day. Okay, let's get us all in there at one time and breed a bunch of bacteria. It never made sense to me at all. So I try to schedule my appointments to where it's not a busy time in the doctor's office, but I also wear a mask. So, in flu season, like, we go out, usually the grocery store, I wear a mask, hand sanitizers, which I'm big on hand sanitizer, really big on hand sanitizer. So, yeah,
So what's it like? What's it like for the spouse? Is it the same as any chronic illness? Like they just have to deal with it? Or is there certain things that they have to learn? Or
my husband's still learning. Daniel's still learning. Like, he knows everything about me,
mm-hmm.
but there's things that he doesn't know about CF because I don't have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he's still learning, but I try to school him in with a lot of it. When we were just first talking, actually, just because I'm like, hey, this is what it is. This is what I've gone through. This is potentially what your life could be like. So you need to let me know now, or if you don't think you can handle it, then this conversation's over. Like, I was alone with him.
Yeah.
And
Well, you have
to be, and not just for me, but it's not for him. Like, it's not fair for you to throw other people in with your disease and when they're not fully aware of everything.
right.
So, I mean, it's not fair. And I know a lot of people that don't. They're like, well, I don't want to tell them until after we're together. I'm like, why?
You just wasted both of your time, potentially.
I'm just like, I don't get it.
And there's a lot of people out there that don't want or aren't able to deal with it, and that's fine. But they aren't the person.
I know that all too well.
And really, I mean, I know that you've lost a lot of friends. I've lost a lot of friends because they can't handle it.
Yep. or
Which is sad.
they're not, you're friends with them for years. And basically it's, oh, well, I don't have the energy for that. It's just like I feel like people don't want to put forth effort or don't want to have the energy, or they don't feel like things that they complain about measures up to yours and they feel bad about it. I see it as, I'm like, if you want to complain about something to me, do it. That's what I'm here for.
Right.
You know, when you talk to me as a friend, it's me as a friend. It's me. You're not talking to my illness. You're talking to me.
Right. Right.
So,
but I've also had the flip side of that where it's like, oh, I feel like I'm dying. I have an ingrown toenail and just it's the end of the world. And I'm like, really?
yeah, I do that. I say that in the back of my head. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I'm like, no, Megan, put your experiences and your crap aside, because this is the hardest thing they've dealt with in their life so far.
Yeah.
So,
which is hard to do.
yeah, it is. But I'm such an empathetic person, though. It's really easy for me to just really feel like what they're going through. That's just how I am. I'm like, oh, like that hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. So you are classified too as invisible illness, right? Because if I was looking at you, I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, cystic fibrosis is a visible illness, and I mean, if I didn't tell anybody, you wouldn't know. Like,
yeah, you just basically have to follow your daily life.
yeah.
Where it's, the roller coaster and you're like,
Without Facebook,
what is this about?
if there wasn't Facebook, nobody would know.
Same.
So,
yeah. Which is a great thing about these groups, because you feel so isolated and like you're the only person, and then you're like, okay, their situation's totally different, but it's not just me.
right. It's like they're still going through the same feelings and
Yeah.
things like that, and it's
well, and I feel
like Facebook and is my window and my door and my because I don't get out every day and
right.
see people every day and talk to different people every day, like people that go to work every day do.
Right.
And people are like, well, why don't you go to work? Why are you being lazy? Like, why don't you live my life and then come back and tell me why?
Yeah. Just even a day, and then just let me know.
Oh, not even a day.
I feel like too, like the grieving process, people talk about that as like a finality type of deal, and it's totally not. Like it's a process that I feel like there's like 7 stages, I think, and you just kind of bounce back and forth whether you have accepted it or whether like, okay, I'm totally freaking out and I'll get back to that stage at some point.
Yeah. I don't know. Like it's hard. Like you grieve for the person you once were.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know. It's just like, if I could go out and work every day, do you know how great that would be? And people complain about it all the time because they have to go to work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's totally different when you can't.
Right. You're like, well, it's just, I don't know. It's just like people these days don't have sympathy, and they're not as caring as they used to be.
No, definitely
So
not.
it's all about them.
Yeah. Very egocentric society, honestly. So, with this movie, you said that the book is based off the movie, which is rare, right?
Yeah, it's really rare. Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about it. Obviously, it's about cystic fibrosis and two people that have it, right?
Mm-hmm. It's such a good movie, and it's like 95% accurate.
Really?
Yeah. And I was
I would.
very shocked. But like I cried the entire time. Yeah, I'm the girl that cries, at movies, but this one, I think even if like I didn't have CF and I would watch it, that I would still cry. Just
So, do these two people actually get together?
I can't.
They can't. Is that the case for all cases? Like, if you met another CF
Yeah,
person,
it should be, but a lot of people break the rules.
so what happens if two CF people have a kid? Is it 100% chance that kid's going to have it?
More than likely, but a lot of men with CF are sterile, so they can't produce children.
That's interesting.
But I know a lot of CF dads that those are biologically their children. But I honestly, I do not know of any two people that have CF that's had a child. So
I could totally see a relationship like that forming, though, because you get it.
and from experience,
Even though, yeah. I mean, different types of like I know a guy that has Marfan's, and everybody's like, oh, you two would be great. And I'm like, no, no, like it's too similar. Like I could probably be with someone with CF, but to have something exactly, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I don't think. Maybe, I don't know. I kind of like being single personally.
You've always been that way.
I have, yeah. And the longer you're single, the more you want to be single.
That's
And
true.
I,
That's true.
I mean, like even people coming in my house, like the slightest things, like when I've had helpers come in, I'm like, you're really bothering me. Like, I know you're here to help me, but can you please leave? Did the writer or producer or whoever came up with that, did he have CF?
No, he's actually He's actually an actor. He's an actor on Jane the Virgin.
Okay.
But then he got into doing like documentaries. And he did a documentary on a girl named Claire. And he basically did this movie as a tribute to her. And she helped with the film. And there was nurses and doctors that helped with the film. But sadly, she passed away in September. This past September, after her double lung transplant, she got a stroke and passed. She had a stroke and passed away, and that's common.
Like as a post-op complication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Is there any specialists in West Virginia at all? I know we have pulmonologists.
Yeah, they're CF specialists. They're at women's and children's.
So are they as good? Because I know you go to Pittsburgh. Is that just because you had a transplant? Or is it because we're in West Virginia?
I went to West Virginia my entire life. But when my case got too complicated, West Virginia doctors said there's nothing more we can do. We don't have the capabilities to do the things, so they flew me out to Pittsburgh.
Well, that's good because on the other side, you know, like I've had cardiologists, they're like, yeah, I totally know about it. And I'm like, I would never let you do open heart surgery on me.
I did have a doctor, I don't even remember who he was, but he had done a few transplants, but he really wanted to do my transplant. And whenever that time came, and I asked him if he ever had done transplant for a CF patient, and he's like, no. I was like, okay, well then no. Yeah.
That's not something you can be a guinea pig with.
No. And that's what he wanted. He just wanted it for his case files.
I've had that even with eye surgeries. The doctor that I went to for a long time hated him, hated his guts, but he was supposed to be the best. And once my eyes started getting really bad in 2013, he was like, why don't we try this new procedure that I've not done, but it could possibly help? And I'm like, dude, you can't even give me a diagnosis, and you want to go in there and playing around in my eyeball? No.
But no.
Not even close. And that's when I went to Duke, because I mean, as much as the doctors here of any specialty try, it's still West Virginia. I mean, the good ones likely leave for one reason or the other, so we're stuck with who we're stuck with.
Yep.
Which is sad, but we're fairly close to Cleveland and Pittsburgh, so
Pittsburgh's amazing. I'm telling you what. The doctors there, they will blow your mind on all of those stuff they know, and they're a big research hospital too, so I mean, it's great. I mean, there's tons about it.
Now, I know a lot of people for Marfan's, they talk up Cleveland Clinic like it's end all be all, and they are really, really good. I've been there a couple different times. But for me, I like Duke 1,000 times better. The atmosphere, they're also a teaching hospital.
Yeah.
I
have a lot of people that got their transplants at Duke.
To me, it's just, it's Duke compared to Cleveland Clinic. Like, I don't know. And maybe it's because I had surgery there at 4 years old and I have partial. But Cleveland Clinic's great, but I would rather go to Duke.
That's how I feel about being Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Even
Okay.
Emory, I mean, people for the CF clinic up here, I don't even like no.
Yeah, it's good as like a the places like this, like even my cardiologist here is good as like a let's monitor it as much as you can, but then I probably need to go somewhere else once a year.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. I can't remember the website it is, but there's a website that talks about what percentage of donations go to each foundation that gets donations. I can't remember the name of it. But do you know what percentage goes to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation of donation?
Like when somebody donates to the foundation? 90% of every dollar goes to research.
90%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
Which is,
I have.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, that is because a lot of them on there are like 20%. You would never know.
Well, I mean, like the CF Foundation has no government funding.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a what do they call them? I don't know. I wrote down stuff and I can't find where I wrote that down at.
So for everybody on this page that doesn't know and they want to learn more about it, where would they go?
CFF.org.
Okay. And you also have a page similar to this one, right?
Yes, but it, like, I'll put like things out there about CF and transplant, but a lot of it follows me, like in my journey with things. Well, I've had that page since my transplant.
And it's an easy way to get the people that want to know the information that they want.
Yeah, they could go. They can even go to my regular Facebook page if they want. I post all kinds of stuff on there too.
Well, and in May, I'm sure, just like we did in February, it will be a lot of information coming out, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have taken up enough of your evening, but I appreciate your time. And if anybody on here wants information, she's in the group, so you can PM her. I'm sure she wouldn't care. Or if you want, you can contact me and I'll get you information. But I really appreciate your time, Megan, and I think that this has been very beneficial.
Thank you for having me. It was good to see you and talk to you.
You too. Yeah, really. Good to see your face. All right. Well, you have a good evening. Thanks.